Talk to us about red flag behaviors that are universal. So I'll tell you a little bit. For me, I always tell people, for the most part, other than the obvious stuff, which I'm going to leave for you, red flags are your own. Meaning that I may have a problem with a gentleman who spends what I find is too much time with his family. Someone, and that would be a red flag to me if you are constantly with your family. Someone else yearns to have an extension of a family they never had. So him being with his family is a green flag because they love family and they want to be a part of it. So I always say that red flags are individual. But you tell us, what are some universal red flags that folks should look out for, men or women?
Okay, good. I think involvement with your ex is a big one. And I wonder what you think about this too. Just like, what's an appropriate level of involvement? That's something that's a subjective question.
Zero.
Okay. And
unless they are the parent of a child that you share.
No.
Zero.
I'm with you. So we're on the same page about that. I think anything else, any other kind of open door is just a cover for something else. I don't know why people are so involved with their exes. So that's a big one. I'm with you on the family stuff. So not having space. I think so. If we're talking about the way that you're physically spending your time, then I'll talk about the emotional way that you're spending your energy. So if someone doesn't have emotional space for someone, like you have so much going on that you cannot care. Right? Like someone can even want to, but if they don't have enough capacity to, then you're not going to get that care and that attention that you need. So emotional space is a big one. And these things, I mean, you have to have conversations with people. A lot of the times that's not something you necessarily know just by looking at somebody. But I will give you something that you can look at, and I'll end it here, where something that you can see is like someone's ability to function in their day-to-day. Like, do they have a job? Do they have transportation? And I'm not even, well, let me not get too specific, but
no, get specific.
Okay, sure. So, depending on location matters, right? Context matters. And sometimes you're in a place where you might not necessarily need a car, but can you get around? Like, do you have strategies for getting to and from? I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of like people that have been in relationships, and you've probably heard them too, where the person doesn't have a car, or they can't get to work. And then the other person is like giving them their car or driving them to work. And that becomes this really codependent type of dependence on somebody, and you can get really intertwined with someone early that you don't actually have a developed relationship with. So that's a big one. Just someone's ability to function. I could go on about red flags though.
No, keep going.
A few.
No, we need them.
You need more?
Yes.
Okay, so how about not having a life? So someone that is so anxious about you or so open. And maybe this is tricky because I just said someone needs emotional space. But if all they're doing is focusing on you, I think that's a red flag. Like you're all that they have time for. You're their whole schedule. Someone's filling their life up. They're like propping their life up with your life. I think that's a red flag. The way that someone talks to you is a red flag, right? Like things that you see early on are important. Like the way that does someone respect you just because you're a person, not because you're giving them something, or because you've now when you get into a relationship, then they're going to treat you differently. I mean, someone should treat you well just because you're a human that deserves respect and you're worthy of good treatment. So those are a couple of things.
Got it. Understood. Talk to us about some things that women should work on, and maybe just the opposite of the red flag piece, right? But what are some things that women should work on or invest in before getting in the dating space?
Therapy. So I think if you haven't gotten checked out, it's just like a physical exam. Get mentally checked out, get emotionally checked out. So therapy is good. I think that your appearance matters too. And so this isn't even about like men being visual, because women also have eyes. So this is really for anybody, like just being able to like understand like what clothes look good on you, or like how do you feel best? What do you like to wear? It doesn't have to be a particular type of look, but looking the way that you feel confident in, I think is a big deal. And so spending time, and it's not always spending money, although I think spending money is important because you're investing in yourself. But it's not just about money. It's also just about time and attention. Like, do you pay attention to yourself? And like, when do you feel good and when do you not feel good? And when do you want to hide? And when do you feel more outgoing? How do you feel comfortable and confident? So I think those are some things I think that you should invest in before you start dating. I think also investing in other relationships and not just focusing on the romantic relationship, like the one. And we have so many things that are telling you like to find the one. There's nothing wrong with finding the one. You help people find the one all the time. That's great. But also like, well, who are the other ones in your life who also those relationships need nurture too.
Yes.
And so I think investing in good friendships, healthy friendships, if you don't have them now, like start now. Don't just focus on the romantic piece, but also your platonic friendships.
Absolutely. So Taylor, as we wrap up, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to successful single women who are struggling in the dating scene? One easy piece of advice.
Rethink your list. Rethink your list. What you think that you need. I'm not saying that is that you should throw it away or that you don't need it, but to rethink it and to really consider what you want your life to look like in not just a year from now, but 5 years, 10 years. And does that list support it, or are those like more superficial or maybe material or short-term things? So just rethink the list.
I think that's a very reasonable piece of advice. So Taylor, tell us,
Allison,
how can we connect with you? How can we work with you? How do we do all the things?
I am Taylor Chandler on every platform. You can find me at I am Taylor Chandler on Instagram, IamTaylorChandler.com. I am Taylor Chandler everywhere. TikTok, YouTube. I am Taylor Chandler.
Excellent.
On everything.
Thank you so much for being such the guest I knew you would be.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Allison, for having me.
Absolutely. So